Now let's see the third part about the VSU configuration. If you want to deploy the VSU function on your network, you must add some configuration on your network device, like your switch. So if you want to do the configuration, here's some roadmaps, and you have to know it. First, you have to know which VSU connection methods you want to use. And we have two connections. One is VSL. And about the VSL connection, we also have two types, one for the ring type and another one for multiple VSL link. If you have the ring type, it will have higher reliability. If one link or multiple link is broken in network devices, we still can use the VSL. But if you use multiple VSL link interconnection, maybe it is very easy to split your VSU system. And the second one is a BFD connection. And we suggest to separate the BFD connection and not for any business use, because first step, we use a VSL link to connect with all the network devices. If the VSL is broken, maybe in your network there are at least two VSL systems. Maybe you will find multiple master in your network. So in this scenario, you also need one connection to detect that all the devices is working and the link is broken. So you can use a BFD to do the test. In the second step, you have to make sure your network device version. You must to upgrading VSU member version to be consistent. Otherwise, maybe they cannot form the VSU successful. And the next step, you have to add some VSU configuration. You have to set the domain ID, the switch ID, and also the priority, something like this. And also you have to select which interface should be the VSL. Then you can modify the device mode to VSU, because by default, the working mode is standalone. And then you can configure the dual host detection. For example, use a BFD detection. It will help us to detect the VSL is broken faster. And also you can do some other actions. For example, make all the lower priority device, the interface to become down. Then the main active device can continue forward the message. So these are the roadmap. And the key part to configure VSU, we have 4 parameters usually to change. The first is domain ID. And about the domain ID, you have to make sure all the domain ID should be same if you want to make multiple devices into the same domain. The default value is 100. You can use the command to change. And the second step, you have to configure the device ID. And about the device ID, the default value is 1. And pay attention, in the same VSU, the device ID should be unique. And then you can set the priority. The default priority is 100. And you can change the priority. For example, you want to make one special device to become master. You can change the priority higher. In the last step, you have to add the VSL port. Okay, add the VSL port. And here are examples on switch 1 and switch 2. For example, switch 1, we use the domain ID as 1. Switch 1 and the priority is 200. And also add the interface 10 gigabit 0/15 and 16. And this interface may be different in your real network. You can change according to your real requirement. And about the switch 2, the domain ID must be same. The switch ID must be different. And the priority you can change the value smaller than 200. So the switch 1 will become the master. And also pay attention, not means priority highest must be the master. That's because maybe you configure switch 2 first and then change the mode from standalone and to become VSU. So the switch 2 will restart first than switch 1. So within 5 minutes, if we don't receive any parameters to do negotiation, select who will be master, something like this, the switch 2 will become master. And later, if switch 1 join our VSU system, also has higher priority, 200, it will be standby. So pay attention about this one. If you do the configuration switch 1 first, switch 2 second, the switch 1 will become master. So this is a basic one. And then you have to change the mode. The key command is switch convert mode virtual, and then there's some warning to you. Are you sure to convert switch to virtual mode? Yes or no? You have to enter yes. Do you want to recover the config text from virtual switch text? Yes or no? You can select no, because when we do the configuration, this command will be saved in different texts to save it. So maybe in the standalone, if you use the command write, all the configuration will be added into the config.txt. And if you switch to VSU mode successful, then in the VSU mode, you also do some configuration and save it. And this configuration also will be added into another file. So pay attention about this step. And also about the switch 2, you have to change the mode to become virtual. After you enter the yes and no, later the device will reboot and form a VSU. So pay attention in the process to reboot the device cannot work. So in your network, there is a short time, maybe the device cannot help us to force a message out. So pay attention about this one. And also you can add some BFD function to help us detect the network the network faulty or not faster. So you have to add the BFD port, and you can adding support to BFD connection to actual BFD connection. So this is the first one. And then you have to enable the BFD. And we suggest perform the BFD configuration after waiting for the VSU to be established successfully. Then you can add the BFD. And the key command here is, for example, now we form the VSU successful, and you can enter the special interface, and this interface should not be same with your VSL interface. And now you will find your interface number we will have 3 decimal, right? The device number, slot number, and the port number. You have to set the interface to become layer 3 interface. So the command is no switch port. And if you have multiple interfaces to provide the BFD function, you also can enter another interface. This is the interface of switch 1, right? And this is the interface of switch 2, because we have one link to connect with 2 switch. And this BFD interface should provide layer 3 function. And then you have to enter the VSU switch virtual domain 1, and you have to enable the BFD function. And which interface will be used to forward the BFD message, you also have to set. the dual active BFD, the interface gigabit, switch 1, slot 0 and 13. And the second one is switch 2, 13 interface. So this is the basic one for the BFD. And after we finish the configuration, you also can use some command to check the status. First is show switch virtual, and here you can detect that the switch virtual, you have how many switches in your VSU, and here we have two switch 1 and switch 2. The domain ID is 1. The first priority is 200. The second one is 150, and the status is okay, and the rule is active in standby because you only have two switches. So one will become master and another will become the slave. And on the physical device, the primary light of engine of the master will be green, but another light of the slave will become will be off because about the management card also will become master and slave and candidate. So the status will become different. And if you want to check or add some special configuration on the slave, you have to enter the switch 2. So the command is section and the device 2, and then you will find the name will become different for standby 2. Now that means we already log in the second switch, and you also can use command to check. Besides this one, you also can use some special command to check the VSL link. Show switch virtual link, right? You can see some special VSL interface. Session 1, the port number is 1, and also the switch 2, and the status is up. And what's your peer site, and how many packets, and how long time we already established with each other. And also you can see the VSL topology. Now we only have two devices to connect with each other. And who will be the active, and what's the MAC address, and who is a standby, what's your MAC address, something like this. And another one, if you deploy the VSU in your network, that means all the link can provide the function to forward out the message, because you also can deploy the link aggregation on the devices. So in this scenario, you also can check which load balance you use in your network. The first is you can check the virtual balance. You already enable the aggregative port LFF, right? Local forward first. And another one, you can check your aggregate port load balance policy. Our policy is based on the source MAC address and the destination MAC address. Then we can forward the message out. And that's all about the VSU principle. And about this section, we explain what's the VSU technology, what's the advantage. If you deploy the VSU, it can help you to simplify, do the management of your network devices. And also it's very easy to make your network topology simple. And another one is you can improve your network utilization. All the link and devices can help us to forward the message. And this is a disadvantage of VSU. And if you want to do the configuration for VSU, here's some steps. First, you have to determine which VSU connection methods includes the VSL and also your BFD. And you have to make sure your VSU devices network, the network device version. the version should be same. Then you have to add some key configuration of the VSU, includes the domain ID, switch ID, priority, and VSL link. And then you have to modify the mode from the standalone to VSU. And the next step, it's better to suggest you add the dual host detection. You can use BFD. It's better to detect your network connection in the VSU is ready or not. So that's all about the VSU. Thank you.